What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stokastic here on the Odd Trapper channel, coming to with another edition of Liddy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video, goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. I'm off to New York in the morning here. This is going to be the last Lindy's that I do until, well, normal time, Sunday. I'm still going to be recording for you, so don't even worry about it. Producer Jacob, he doesn't want me to go on vacation ever. Are you kidding me? No days off. No days off. It's like Bill Belichick at the rally, and also Bill Belichick, former coach of the New England Patriots when we get to the end of the season. That's not true. He's probably going to stay around forever. But anyway, we got Bet365. That's staying around for right now. You got 6 states where it's available: Kentucky, Virginia, Ohio, New Jersey, where I'm going to be for a hot second tomorrow. Ooh, I'm going to sign up for Bet365 tomorrow. That's so exciting. Iowa and Colorado. It's going to be incredible stuff, mainly because I can bet $5. I'm going to get 150 in bet credits when I head up to Newark, and then, take a nice train into the city and enjoy my evening. Anyway, I can see it now, friends. 6 states. Sign up for that down at the link below. Only if you're 21 and over, 18 and over in Kentucky. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. But we'll talk about them a little bit later. As for now, we've got 9 games in the association on Friday. Finally, a normal day of basketball. Was it that hard, NBA? What? Was it that hard? It must have been pretty hard. Whatever. At least I'm not watching Chicago, Carolina right now. Producer Jacob, let's get ourselves to the picks. Philadelphia, one of the best spreads in like the last 50 years against the spread to start off a season. 7 straight, covered in 7 straight. We've made them a lock twice in that span. That's good stuff. Actually, I think it was actually kind of a like-ish lock before. But either way, 11 and a half they covered against Washington. You don't forget these things. You do not forget these things. You also don't forget the fact that, like, Detroit, they get Jalen Duren back. We love our guy Jalen Duren, but these prices are not normal. We cannot possibly be looking at a double-double here inside of -150. If that ends up being the opening number, like it's been in a couple of these spots, and we didn't even get a number because he was a late add after being on the injury report all day, ends up being in the starting lineup that's announced 20 minutes before the start time of that game. That's kind of one of the things that sucks about betting props and being so focused on props in the NBA streets, is once in a while, you just simply aren't going to get the numbers you're looking for. Marcus Sasser never showed up one time, and he ends up nuking, absolutely nuking the 3-point prop that I talked about the other night. Looked fantastic in the second half. The first half was a little bit garbaggio, but I'm looking at a Detroit team that is pretty well. I like the construction of it. I think they're going to be fun going forward. They're not going to be good. Don't get me wrong. Cade Cunningham can't be your number 1. Stop it. Stop it. Get help. Stop it. But no matter what, this is still a team that, as you look at the numbers, Philadelphia is going to be really, really good. They are 3rd in adjusted net rating through 3 games. And I got to say, the Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid 2-man game, I went back and watched a lot of what they were doing against Brooklyn. And Tyrese Maxey was just tooling with some dudes. It was just an absolute, sorry, it was Boston the other night. But anyway, Tyrese Maxey was tooling with Boston quite a bit. Didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he was still getting guys open in space, and it didn't translate into assists necessarily in that one, but it did against Phoenix and against Washington, and now you're looking at kind of a deflated number. I have no idea why DraftKings has this as +110. No clue. But 6.5 assists for Tyrese Maxey, who's primarily the ball handler, primarily doing everything with Joel Embiid. If this team just absolutely goes crazy here in this spot and it ends up being a blowout, it's probably because Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid went nuts in that 2-man game. So I don't even think the blowout is all that much of a concern for me here. I just think this is a little bit of a broken number. 6.5 assists opening. It's going to change quick, so hurry over there. I wouldn't want to play this at -105 or worse, but +110 on DraftKings, best available number right now. Tyrese Maxey, that assist rate has room to grow here without James Harden over the course of this season. The Charlotte Hornets take on Washington, I believe a second straight time that we have in order here. And, well, Charlotte did me a little bit wrong there with the half unit, and somebody decided to, instead of like focusing on the locked plays that went 2 for 3 on this video, they decided to say, your like play sucked. And it's like, this was the only one that they pointed out. So, like, congrats on picking out the one play that I missed. If you parlay all my picks together, they're probably not going to win all the time. Like, legitimately, it probably has a 2% chance of actually happening. Expected win percentage, somewhere in that vein. Now, I'd like to say that my picks are positive EV across the board, and I believe that they are with the help of OddsShopper, with my own projections, with everything that we have going here at Stochastic and OddsShopper together. I'm giving you the best information I can day in, day out. And sorry that Charlotte goes out and shoots the ball abysmally. Sorry that LaMelo Ball decided to just completely, I mean, he was actually not even the main problem. Kyle Kuzma nuked it, 33-9-4. He played good for the first time in forever. Bet you didn't think Frozen was making it on the show today. Me either. I see why some people hate me. But the Charlotte money line is something that I'm at least leaning on the direction of. Plus 110 to target Washington. Again, it just, you look at this, it's an efficient spread. 242 total is massive. Thought about shorting that, but again, it projects out with 241.5 for me. And then the last one, if you want to pay attention to it on a granular level, I think we can look at Kyle Kuzma triple-double at some point. But it's going for like plus 2,500 for a reason, because it's not very likely. So I'm not possibly going to recommend that here on this video. If you're feeling a little extra crazy, baby, don't forget that boy told you kick that dirt off your shoulder, Kyle Kuzma. Just a lean. Don't bet anything here. Bet something here instead. The Boston Celtics taking on the Brooklyn Nets, who are 7-0-1 against the spread. We've done okay in times targeting some of them, but the big question mark is Ben Simmons in this one, our boy, producer Jacob's boy for sure. And then Cam Thomas is going to be out for this one. And once that happened, once you found out he's going to be out for the next 2 weeks or perhaps longer with this ankle sprain, you saw this line move 10.5. It's a big line. I will say, I don't think I want to be laying 10.5 here with Brooklyn. They have enough wings that kind of match up in an interesting way with them. Mikal Bridges, we know his two-way tendencies. They also have Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal. This could be a team that plays extremely small. I do think Day'Ron Sharpe has to be forced into some type of duty against Kristaps Porzingis. Otherwise, Porzingis is just going to murder people. But in that vein, I don't like Spencer Dinwiddie. I never have. I've never been a Spencer Dinwiddie guy. The fact that he couldn't make it work alongside Luka, I mean, a lot of people can't make it work alongside Luka because you're not playing with the ball in your hands, and it just kind of becomes a stagnant offense. Kyrie Irving's figuring it out because I think he is a basketball genius. Earth's not flat, bro, but he is a basketball genius, no problem. So we'll throw that out there. I'm sure Boston people don't want to talk about Kyrie ever. But Brooklyn, I gotta say, Ben Simmons, if he ends up suiting up, that is definitely a problem for this play. And that's why I'm going to call it a lean. I think Ben Simmons is more likely not to play. I think you're going to have to consider guys like Spencer Dinwiddie and Royce O'Neal and Dorian Finney-Smith. DFS purposes for a 9-game slate, awesome. And if you don't know what DFS is, head over to Stochastic.com, Stokastic.com. Check out all the great stuff that we're offering there day in, day out. Another way you can go make some money. But I just want to throw it out there. We could look at a single game parlay situation here if there's no Ben Simmons. You could look on the Brooklyn side and combine it, but I'm going to focus on the Celtics side because I love the way that they've utilized Kristaps Porzingis. Been talking about it nonstop here. I think he's looked like the best version of himself since he's entered the NBA, which is kind of a wild statement. He may be playing less than he did once upon a time, playing 33 minutes his rookie season with the Knicks, 33 minutes last season with Washington, but even in just 31 minutes a game, his true shooting, 68.2%, the best of his career. 62.8 for effective field goal percentage, 68.2 is his true shooting percentage. We're talking 90th percentile basically around both of those. That is way better than any time we've seen. Now, some people might say, hey, he can't keep that going. He can't be efficient. Not true. Not true. He is the fourth option on the floor. Third, fourth option. Depends if Derek White is knocking down every shot like we just saw last night. But I got to say, I'm very impressed about what I've seen from Kristaps Porzingis, enough where I think some kind of a single game parlay play here with Porzingis 2+3s, Drew 2+3s. Again, another guy who's not necessarily the number one option, but I mean, this Brooklyn team, he's going to be on the floor a lot. You're going to need him on the floor a lot here. Even, it says 10.5 there, and maybe they don't need it, but legitimately, you have so many different guards, wings, guys that in these pick and roll matchups, you have a guy like Drew Holiday that can guard 4 positions, basically. He's got the body that can kind of do it. And this is a fun matchup here where I think you have them on the floor enough. Look at those 2+3 type combos with Kristaps, with Drew, and then combine it with a Boston money line, which has zero value attached to it. Again, minus 575. No way I'm going to say that you have to go out of your way to do it, but I had basically just called this a lean. I want you paying attention to everything because there is going to be some sort of value to mine out here, especially if Ben Simmons is off the floor where he wouldn't be matched up at the 5 against one Ben Simmons. I'm going to get ahead of this one. I'm going to say Ben Simmons is not going to guard Ben Simmons, but actually Kristaps Porzingis if he's actually active on the floor. So don't go to the YouTube comments and post stupid stuff like that. You obviously know that I meant Kristaps Porzingis, but somebody's going to do it. Don't be that guy. But I appreciate all the comments. You guys don't understand. A nice comment, a bad comment, they all equal out to be the same. So smash the like button or hit the dislike button because they count the same. Suckers! No, you're lovely people. And most of you hit the like button because you love me, right? I gave you Houston money line against the Lakers. Nobody's in the like comment section talking about that one. Anthony Davis ends up sitting out. Houston playing some really good basketball. Ime Udoka. This guy can coach a basketball team. Boston. They would have really liked to have him during the postseason last year. I'm 99.9% certain of such things, but I'm also pretty positive that this game is an easy one as well. Minus 130 is a little bit broken here with a massive piece of news pending on the New Orleans side. 1, CJ McCollum being out, but 2, Zion Williamson legitimately questionable. Herbert Jones, another piece, legitimately questionable. But the main one, of course, being Zion Williamson. If he's out, you think Brandon Ingram, based on what we just saw in Minnesota, we wouldn't lay minus 130? Dillon Brooks just put it in LeBron James' mouth hole, which is just such a weird thing to say, and I should probably work on my phrasing from time to time, and there might be kids present in your car when you're listening to this. I apologize to them. May God have mercy on my soul. But Tari Eason, nice to see him back in this rotation for Houston. Made his debut, 14 minutes. He is such a good fucking defender. Sorry, kids, again. Uncle Eric is a little crazy tonight. He's excited about New York City. But Tari Eason getting back into the mix with the rotation, as if they didn't improve their defense enough, adding Fred VanVleet instead of he who shall not be named because he's a terrible human being and should go to jail forever. Then you've got Dillon Brooks getting added to this team despite his offensive ineptitude, and I do mean ineptitude. He is so phenomenal at defense that it doesn't really matter. Plus, is he going to shoot 54% from 3 for the rest of the season? No. 57% from the field? No. But nice that he's doing it for the time being, so that's cool. Just saying, this Houston team is firing on all cylinders. It starts with the coaching and then the scheme. I think the scheme is one of the better changes that we have from last year to this year. Get this, 2023, in terms of pace, Houston played at the 13th fastest pace in the NBA, a little bit above average. Do you know how fast they are playing in 2024? Guess what? I'm going to tell you. Second to last in the association. They are 4-3 on the season. Their adjusted net rating isn't very good at dunks and threes, so there's definitely room for that to be an issue. But schematically, when you take possessions out of it, if you're not as good of a shooting team, which I think long-term, a guy like Dillon Brooks is not going to shoot this well. You're not going to have Fred VanVleet shoot this poorly either, so it's going to be somewhere in the middle. But fewer possessions allows for you to lower the variance in specific basketball games. Not by much, because this is a more projectable sport than that of the NFL, where the equivalent would be Derrick Henry getting a bajillion carries, 30, 35 carries against a bad team, where you just kill the clock because you know you're going to control the ball the entire time. You just sit on it. That's what Houston is doing, and it's kind of genius because a guy like Alperen Sengun in the half court has just continued to ascend. Now, the reason that we're not Hulk slam mashing this one as a lock is because that individual I just spoke of, Alperen Sengun, is questionable for this basketball game. That creates a little bit of an issue when you have to look at a guy like Jock Landale, who was actually awesome with Phoenix in the playoffs last season, but I don't want him being my 25, 30-minute a game center, that's for sure. They have options now. Jabari Smith can play some small ball 5. It's not like New Orleans outside of Valanciunas is going to bring tons of size behind them. They started Robinson Earl last game. What are we even doing, guys? What are we doing, New Orleans? A team that's going to have to figure it out, but Houston's figuring it out quickly. Glad we got the half unit in on them there. Let's get another one here. Minus 130. If I knew that Alperen Şengün was playing, I would be locking this, but something tells me it's going to be hard to be able to read the tea leaves there. So you're either going to react the news when it happens, or you're just going to lay the half unit with me now. Cool? Also cool, betting $5 and getting 150 in bonus bets. Can you believe this? 150 in bonus bets? That's ridiculous. I'm going to be taking advantage of that in New Jersey as soon as I touch down in that plane. Again, people don't understand. Newark, the best airport. I hate LaGuardia. I hate it so much. I enjoy getting out of the cluster and getting to New Jersey. And if you're in New Jersey or Ohio, Kentucky, Virginia, Colorado, or Iowa, take advantage of this offer with me. Bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets, or you could do the first bet safety net up to $1,000 in bonus bets. Maybe I do that route. That actually sounds like a pretty good route for me. Again, it depends on your bankroll, but hey, everybody wants to bet 5 and get 150 in bonus bets. It's just that I understand that my wife, on our anniversary weekend, she might want a fancier dinner or two. Maybe I want to take that shot for my first bet safety net with the Houston money line. That might be something I do, but again, bet 5, get 150 in bonus bets. That is a way to guarantee a W for yourself. An absolute smash type play. Again, 5 into 150, that is a 30x return on your money. Let me repeat that, a 30x return on your money by betting 5, getting 150 in bonus bets. So if you're in one of those 6 states, take advantage of it. I can't wait to take advantage tomorrow. Only for 21 and over, 18 and over in Kentucky. And if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. Back to the picks we go. We have the Utah Jazz taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. And yeah, a little bit disappointing having Memphis. Well, everything about Memphis is disappointing. So this one really isn't shocking. The one lock that doesn't come through on the video from the other night, of course, it ends up being Memphis money line. They're playing such bad basketball. And no Xavier Tillman, problem. No Brandon Clark, problem. No Steven Adams, problem. Jake LaRavia, questionable, not a problem. I don't really care. Can we get my guy, Kenny Lofton Jr., some minutes? Preseason GOAT? The GOAT? That's Kenny Lofton's son, if you like baseball. MLB Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks coming your way end of March. I was sick of talking about baseball. I'm just going to be dead honest with you. It's a beautiful sport. I love it so much, but it's NBA time, baby. And yeah, Utah and Memphis, you know who we're going to talk about, right? The lock that came through on the other side of this one, Lauri Markkanen, 23.5 points. It got awfully sweaty. Sweaty ball season. That's what we're talking about. Sweaty balls. Utah getting Lauri Markkanen the basketball wasn't a priority when Jordan Clarkson went completely apeshit there in that first half. And then what happens when they take Lauri Markkanen off the floor in that fourth quarter? Even though they have a day between, you knew you had a Thursday of rest. Didn't matter to them. They just let Clarkson go out and chuck it 26 times. The most shot attempts he's had by 6 all season long. He only shot 46% from the field. Like, it's not like he shot well either. Lauri Markkanen is shooting the ball at one of the best clips in the NBA, 3rd best in three-point percentage, doing everything well, and they're going to let Jordan Clarkson go out there and cook? Oh, great. Great. But, hey, the lock hit. Shouldn't complain. Lauri Markkanen shooting 44.5%. Ridiculous stuff already from Lauri Markkanen this season. And here's where we got to be a little bit sensitive to the price. And this is kind of the conversation. And my actual favorite play from this game is technically Utah plus 4.5, but I didn't end up putting that in the lean section, and I didn't end up betting it yet. But I put Lauri Markkanen 24.5 for the conversation point. We were early to Duren. We've been early to a lot of props early this season, but just because something's a wagon and it continues to hit for you, be sensitive to price and changing environment. This might not be the spot. 232.5, a little bit down from what we had against Indy. And Indy, I like the profile because Lauri Markkanen has not shot the ball well from the mid-range, which is pretty wild because he's generally a very good mid-range shooter. If that improves, everything across the board looks about as elite as it gets in the NBA, especially from your 6'10", 6'11 power forward / center. But Lauri Markkanen, 24.5. We're talking about 1 point. That's a huge deal if something like this is going to be a problem with Talen Horton-Tucker playing with the ball in his hands on the floor. You got Jordan Clarkson chucking it 26 times. 16 shot attempts is great, but there's so many number ones on teams that have well north of a 25% usage that do I feel like tangoing with 24.5 here for Lauri Markkanen? I'm not sure yet. I'm going to read the tea leaves. I'm going to see if people want to bet this one down. Some sharp numbers might come in on unders here. 23.5 is where I want this number. If it's at 24.5, I'm willing to pass. We can find another day, move on with our lives, but it's a worse matchup, even though Memphis is terrible, but it's technically a worse matchup than Indy with the pace that they had. And you can't expect Jordan Clarkson to chuck it 26 times in that starting unit again. So wanted to talk through how things do change. We've talked about it with Duren. Want to talk about, even though we go like hits, lock hits, be careful about just going back to the well. Don't ruin the progress you made on identifying a play before the line moves to an appropriate place. Like, I don't know, this is more appropriate. Not appropriate, NSFW, if you will, is the way I feel about Anthony Edwards. Oh my God. Watching him eviscerate Denver, eviscerate Boston, play with 5 fouls, and just shut down Jason Tatum and force a jump ball in the overtime without fouling. This kid is just special. He is. He's absolutely insane. And I could not be more in love with the fact that he's wearing a Minnesota jersey. I do think Minnesota, this is one of those teams that they could be a wagon this season. 5-2 against the spread. I think what's going to happen, though, is books are going to adjust pretty heavily, like what we're seeing here. -6 on the road. This would have been like a -4, -3.5 situation a week ago. This is not a week ago after they beat Denver at home, Boston at home. They also haven't faced a lot of road tests. And again, I'm not somebody who factors that in all too much. So I'm not going to go completely radio goo-goo, radio gaga. Shout out, Queen. I'm just going to be paying attention to Minnesota here and see if we can get some better numbers as this road trip goes on. But 6, this looks pretty appropriate to me. What doesn't is my guy, Anthony Edwards. He's playing at an elite level. And even though we recommended the under of his 2.5 threes and we hit that, goes 2 for 8 from 3, he's shooting 43.2% from 3. It had more to do with shot attempts and the fact that the Pelicans were going to play lockdown D, and they did on the perimeter. They sucked everywhere else, and it was something we took advantage of. But Anthony Edwards, we're going to be on the positive side for him this time around. The San Antonio Spurs have been downright putrid defensively. Dead last in the association in adjusted defensive rating, 116.7. They've played at the 10th fastest pace in the association, 101.2 possessions per 48 minutes. And despite the fact that they've had a difficult strength of schedule, top 10 difficult strength of schedule, 12th adjusted strength of schedule, they haven't faced an offensive team quite like that of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who bring one guy to the table who's an absolute wagon. Anthony Edwards, friends, we are jumping on right here, 26.5. I understand it's on the road, and Anthony Edwards, oh, look at his last road start, Eric. He went completely nuts, scored 31 against Atlanta, 26 against Toronto. This San Antonio team is going to be problematic guarding what Anthony Edwards does. Mid-range, being able to elevate. Yeah, Victor Wembanyama is fantastic, but overall, this San Antonio team is not good defensively as a whole. And also, just because you get blocks doesn't necessarily make you good defensively, although I think in Victor Wembanyama's case, it does. But Anthony Edwards, over 26.5. Thought about locking this one. Only one lock on the card coming up later. But this is my second favorite prop on the board next to Tyrese Maxey. Can't wait for everybody on Twitter to send me the, oh, Eric, are we going to bet Luka Doncic triple-double? He just owns the Clippers. How many circumstances change year in, year out? The numbers are changing year in, year out. Everything is in the moment a good bet or a bad bet. Everything is a let's wait for a better number or it's okay to pass. It sucks sometimes when you miss a good number or things would have broken in your favor. But overall, I'm very comfortable in not ever factoring team versus player. Ever. In the NBA especially. Sometimes in baseball because of a specific ballpark, like you're talking about a huge left field out in Baltimore, the way that it's elevated now and you have righty power showing up there, well, that's going to be different than righty power in Houston with the Crawford boxes out to left field. Similarly in the NBA, there are so many new pieces. Dallas didn't even have half a season with Kyrie Irving to figure things out. They end up missing the playoffs. People are hurt nonstop. They don't have Maxi Kleber for a couple games, and now he's starting. And now you have a piece like Lively, who's a rookie, and you don't know how he's... So many things are shifting constantly in the NBA. It's the most projectable sport that we have. That also makes it more projectable for the books. But overall, I just want you never, ever caring about stuff like that. That being said, Luka Doncic does absolutely smash the Clippers and have something against them. We saw it in the bubble. We saw it everywhere. Just a fun footnote, if you will. But this Clippers team, they're going to try to figure it out. It's going to take a little while because you have another ball-dominant guard. Obviously, the acquisition of James Harden, it's going to reduce Russell Westbrook's output. It's going to reduce Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in some capacity as well. He played 36 minutes, though, started to look a little bit better there. They've lost both of these on the road in New York, on the road in Brooklyn, now on the road in Dallas. A road trip isn't the best time to try to gel and figure things out with another extremely ball-dominant guard here in James Harden. And I do think Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, they're going to still be the guys who assert themselves as the number 1 and 2, Kawhi Leonard being the number 1, of course, here in this scheme. But I think we got to be looking at them improving, and plus 108 to back 3. Well, I'm going to combine Russell Westbrook and his try hard with James Harden and his just pure ability into one player. And I'm going to call him the big 3. That's kind of a funny way to look at it. But I think Kawhi, Paul George, the wings here, you have no Dorian Finney-Smith, which I think actually matters here for the Dallas side. He was so good defensively, somebody who can be a knockdown 3 artist. And now Derrick Jones Jr., he's been shooting the ball particularly decent, 39% from 3, 53% from the field, but I don't expect him to long-term be nearly as good of a defender as what you had going out there day in, day out in Dorian Finney-Smith. Josh Green, still kind of acclimating to the pro game, shooting around 41% from 3. That's fun to see as well, but never will be a ball-dominant guy. And Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. Always great when you can give somebody $25 million to come off the bench and play 27 minutes a game for you. Awesome. Awesome sauce. NBA contracts are out of control. But good for them. Go make that money, honey. That's what we're trying to do. Anyway, we're going to try to fire up the Clippers here, but I think I'll just wait and see if we can get a plus 115. Plus 115 is where it jumps into the light category. Otherwise, I'm happy to pass on this entire game as a whole. I really have no interest in backing Dallas at minus 122 against a Clippers team that's going to figure it out sooner rather than later. That's going to only get healthier as we go along, too. Terrence Mann's back. Terrence Mann's back. Makes me happy, too. Just thought I'd throw that out there. 2 games to go. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell as we head to a like. And yeah, this is wild because I've had more spreads here of late than I can remember in early season NBA. Now, sometimes spreads, you're just trying to beat injury news. And that's generally where you see the big shifts. And, well, there's not a whole lot of injury news to beat here in general outside of the Anthony Davis news. It's a big, gigantic piece of news. And in fact, producer Jacob, before the show, we're talking, hey, we're doing our pregame chit chat. Is there a total out for Phoenix? No, there is not for the Phoenix LA game because Anthony Davis shifts this total exponentially because you're talking about a defensive player of his quality that's replaced by the corpse of Christian Wood, who I don't even know if he was playing basketball. 22 minutes, 1 shot attempt in Houston. 1? Can't 2? We can't even get 2? You get 1 shot at... That was the most tilting DFS thing ever. You guys don't care, but it's fine. I'm looking at Phoenix with Bradley Beal back, who is probable for this one, with Devin Booker, who is out for this one. Nice to have a little clarity there because then it gets murky, and it's all murky on the LA side. So here's the way that I look at this. I set the fair line at 3.5 on the Phoenix side. Just saying. 3.5 is a decent spot. But if Anthony Davis is ruled out, 7. If Jackson Hayes is ruled out, again, he's worth about a 0.5 point when you have no Anthony Davis. If he gets ruled in with Anthony Davis, it doesn't mean jack diddly squat. But just saying, this is a spot where you could get tons of value, even betting inefficient line, if that makes sense. Again, the middle should technically be around 2, if you're asking me, where it'd be close to like an even money proposition, or it would be sitting on the outskirts of 5.5. So kind of a wild little spot that this is something that I'm actually projecting out well. But LA, 2-6-0, have said it nonstop. They've had some issues off the bench. Now, Rui Hachimura played way more than I expected him to. 26 minutes. He was the obvious bright spot in a very dim, dark world against Houston the other day in that 128-94 loss. But, he's coming off a concussion. He looked great in that spot, was knocking down open shots. They didn't guard him on the perimeter, which was kind of wild to be watching, especially as he started to cook. You got to think Anthony Davis being out for this one is a strong possibility. And yes, LeBron James, the GOAT, or whatever you want to call him. I've done that bit twice this show. I'll stop. But Phoenix -4 is something I'm actually willing to put a half unit on because of how far I think this line could move in the absence of Anthony Davis. And if it ends up in, I'm basically in a coin flip situation. So like, that's a really good spot to possibly put a little bit of money in hopes that you end up having a very strong positive EV bet. Now, when it's truly middled, if this were truly middled in a certain spot, I think we'd be sitting. But with Anthony Davis in, I would set this line at 3.5. Getting 4 seems fantastic. And our final game of the night, the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Sacramento Kings. And De'Aaron Fox already ruled out for this one. Don't even have to think about that one here. They need him bad. They also need Trey Lyles secretly bad back. Or bad back secret. Back in the rotation. We're going to move on. Need him back in the rotation. Need him back from injury. Need him. Okay, now I am actually done. Oklahoma City on the other side, 6-2-0, because people didn't expect Chet Holmgren to be as good as what he is, except for this program did. We've talked about him a lot. He's an alien playing basketball. Not quite as big of an alien as Victor Wembanyama, but this alien, Chet Holmgren, has more usage so far. Has tons of opportunity from three-point land when you're shooting 56% so far in the early going of this season. Unsustainable. If he shoots 56% as a 7'1" dude with a massive wingspan and ankles the size of this, I don't know what to believe anymore because he's just a majestic little fairy. In a nice way. It's like a majestic unicorn frolicking the land in northern Minnesota where he's from. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, we've got Oklahoma City here on the road, and this is a lock situation, if you ask me. Chet Holmgren, fantastic. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, fantastic. Josh Giddey, decent enough. And my guy Jalen Williams is just absolutely amazing as a two-way player. This guy's averaging 17 points per game, one of the steals of 2 years ago. And one of the beautiful things that Sam Presti continually does, the GM of the Oklahoma City Thunder, is he converts something out of every single draft. Whether that's turning it over into more picks in the future or finding guys like a Luguentz Dort, who might not be everybody's cup of tea, but does one thing, guard your best player at an elite level. And that's exactly what you get from Jalen Williams. And yet they play at a crazy pace, so it gets hidden a little bit in the mucky muck. But you want as many good wings as you possibly can, especially on the defensive end come playoff time. And this Oklahoma City team, if they can make some kind of a move with their picks to convert it this year into something, this is a team I want to be buying now, early, often. I think the West is more open, especially if you have Jamal Murray out for an extended piece of time. If the LAC pieces don't work together, and you're probably looking at Kawhi and Paul George getting dinged up at some point. If the Lakers pieces aren't going to work. In fact, my Minnesota Timberwolves feel like the best bet on the board right now, along with these OKC Thunder. I might just go for a little two-way card here. Yeah, I might have to do that. Jack Nicholson meme. Jack Nicholson gif. All right, Oklahoma City money line. This is absolutely what we're going to fire up here, though, because the Sacramento Kings, in the absence of De'Aaron Fox, have been in absolute shambles. Domantas Sabonis had his best game by far, 27-11-9. They pull out the close win there, 121-118 in Portland. Oh, yeah, they were facing Portland. And now I'm getting Oklahoma City, a team that I believe in that has way better players, and a -126 on the road in Sacramento. What are we doing here? This is a -150 situation with the Oklahoma City Thunder. You cannot tell me otherwise. Domantas Sabonis is going to go out creating for whom, can I ask you? Malik Monk off the bench. You have Keegan Murray, who, well, is shooting 25% from three so far this season. Not great, Bob. Not great. Shout out Mad Men. That's a fantastic show. But Oklahoma City money line, your lock of the evening. Put it in all your parlays and have a great, great weekend. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays on the board for Friday. I'm going to be keeping everybody apprised in the premium Discord. I'm going to be firing up bets from New Jersey and New York and everything else, hanging out with my wife, kicking it. I'm sure she wants to watch some NBA, right? I think she does. I think she loves the NBA. She would love to watch that on her anniversary week. I might just go to the bathroom and put some bets in. I think that might be what I do. But anyway, going to be firing that up in the premium Discord. Come hang out with me. Bunch of sharp people there. Not just myself. Isaiah Swaros, Ben Raza, everybody you know and love here on this Odd Shopper channel, all in one easy-to-find place. We also have Bet365. Already talked about them. We got producer Jacob. Thank you for another great week of work in the books, my dude. Let's get ourselves the heck up out of here. And don't forget to check out NFL Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks here for week 10 of the Sunday slate there for the NFL. Going to be putting my bets in, firing that one up as well. So check out that. Until next time, until Monday, yeah, I'll be covering that from the hotel. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Friday.